Hey everyone, welcome back to part 3 of Barachi Ice Elementalist. I'm Ultraviolent 4. We just reached D8, which is the first point at which we can find Lair, and we've also just reached our first pip of Sif Muna piety, which is a very important time. At 1 pip of piety we get access to divine energy, which you see here is an instant cost, so you can toggle it on and off without it actually taking any game time. If we look at the description, when it's active, Sif Muna allows you to cast spells even with insufficient reserves of magic. Doing so will cause you to briefly lose access to your magic after the spell is cast. The ability costs nothing, it is instantaneous. So it's basically just a toggleable status. We should put it on. So you see here, when we turn it on, we get this little status up here that says plus cast. That just means you have it on. So when you run out of mana, if you don't have enough to cast the spell that you're looking to cast, it will cast anyway, and you'll get a minus cast status, which means you can't cast any more spells. And that will last for a few turns, and then you can cast again, even if you don't have enough mana. So it's a really useful ability for a character like this, who's going to spam summon Ice Beast, because every few turns we can summon an Ice Beast regardless of whether we've run out of magic points or not. And it's going to be not impossible, but it's certainly going to be a bit harder than it would otherwise, because we found this +7 hand axe of beat, which is an MP +9, strength +4 hand axe, and it's quite on theme for an Ice Elementalist because it's a freezing axe. So I feel good about that one. But having MP +9 along with divine energy means we should not be running out of magic points. If there's any point in time where we're not surrounded by 3 summoned ice beasts, I'm doing something wrong. Other thing about this character, we're training a bunch of things. So we're training some conjurations for Throw Icicle. We're training some charms for Ozakubo's armor, just to up the spell power a bit. And then we're training fighting dodging for some defense, and spellcasting for even more magic points. It lowers spell hunger, which is not something you should worry about too much. But it's also giving us extra magic points, and it's helping us with our spell failures a bit. And I mean, this is a while in the future, but eventually Sif Muna will start giving us books. And at that time, we're going to want to have a lot of spell levels. You already know all available spells. There you go. So we can't even look at the spell library right now. Game will not let us. You can hit percent, it will show you up here. We have 5 of 19 spell levels left. So interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen that message. You already know all available spells. There you go. Another really cool thing, which is totally OS frog, but again on character because we're playing a frog, is that I confirmed near the end of the last one that we can in fact cast Ozakubo's armor and then hop. And the hopping does not count as a movement, so we get to keep the bonus armor when we do that. So that's cool. Totally OS frog. I see there's a magical helmet up there. That was just a bit of... I was reading random scrolls we didn't know, so that was a bit of leftover fog from the last episode too. Let's go get this magical helmet though. We don't have a helmet. +2 helmet, so that's an extra 3 AC, up to 9. So we have about 1 million AC, turns out. I'm just hitting the bullfrog with our axe. Again, this isn't something that you should worry about, but new players will all the time. Summons do indeed take some of your experience. So it is technically optimal to kill things on your own if you can. So in that case, I was just hitting the bullfrog zombie with my axe rather than letting the ice beast take it. But please, this is something that I just want you not to worry about. Don't ever worry about experience with summons. It's not a thing. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't think that one will ever happen. I try to also tell you all not to worry about food and spell hunger too much. And I think it's possible that some people will stop doing that, but I think it's a lost cause trying to get new players not to worry about summon experience. Alright, we got our charms to 3. Let's have a look at our spell power and Ozakubo's armor. It's only about halfway. I don't think we really need to train more charms though. I mean, it could be very useful in the future when we find more charm spells, but right now we don't need it. So let's keep training like this. Here's Harold, who has immediately netted us. So in some ways he's not as scary as he used to be, I think, now that he doesn't have Bolt of Fire. But in other ways he's scarier. So he's got Sentinel's Mark, he can mark you. He's got Harpoon Shot, which can pull you into him. He appears earlier and he's got more melee damage now. So I guess the absolute nightmare is that he Harpoon Shots you adjacent to him. He then nets you, and while you're struggling to escape from the net, he goes ham, hitting you with stuff. And I guess you could throw a mark in for good measure. But we can do a couple of things. The first thing that's really cool is I believe we should be able to hop out of the net and then we won't destroy it. Correct. So now we have a net to claim. Whereas if we just struggled out of it, we'd break the net. But the other thing we can just do, I guess this bit isn't so cool because we're going to do it to everyone, but we can overwhelm him with Ice Beast. How did he hit us with the Sentinel's Mark? He somehow weaved the mark through all the Ice Beasts and got us again. Now he's netting our Ice Beasts. Okay, well anyway, we're just going to make him continually fight unending waves of Ice Beasts. And we have Divine Energy, so every few turns, even if we did run out, we could just continually cast it. While we're marked, we're going to camp these stairs, just to make sure nothing turns up. Did not. Okay, well if something scary did come, then we just go back up the hatch. But nothing came even though we were marked, which is interesting. Okay, Conjurations to 4. Let's check. Throw Icicles at 12%. Which is really good. I don't know if you ever... Let's walk away from Maurice for a second. But I don't know if you ever saw my Deep Elf Wizard character. But I was using Throw Icicle to kill Orbs of Fire in Zot 5. It's a perfectly serviceable spell for most of the game. I mean, it's no Iron Shot, don't get me wrong, but it's a pretty good spell. Does good damage, some of it's irresistible, and you also slow cold-blooded enemies down. Alright, so Maurice. He should technically always have a wand. Last game he didn't for some reason. I think that's happened a couple of times, so I think maybe he might be bugged. But the point is, he could have acid, he could potentially have paralysis, a bunch of really scary things. So I'm going to summon our 3 Ice Beasts first, and then I'm going to yell to wake Maurice up, and then I'm going to stand back here while Ice Beasts fight him. Okay, it is Paralysis Wand. What I should do actually is I'm going to tell my Ice Beasts to retreat forward so that they can now surround Maurice and they can hit him from 2 directions. Because otherwise he could just paralyze the one in front. And while this is happening, I'm not afraid of running out of mana. I feel like we may as well just wield the trident and then reach over and actually help. Alright, cool. So we now pick up a Wand of Paralysis with 11 charges and a Glowing Cloak. Let's put the Glowing Cloak on. +0 Cloak of Poison Resistance. It's not as enchanted as the +1 cloak we had before, but having a source of poison resistance is fantastic. I think this looks better, the white cloak, compared to, I don't even remember what it was before, it was blue. Actually that's a tough call. I think this one looks better though. Maybe I'm biased though, because I want to use this one. We're going to use an enchant armor scroll on it though, because The Cloak of Poison Resistance is something we're going to use certainly through our Lair branches. So let's get the extra AC. And then what are we going to do? Train more ice magic? Train more conjurations? I don't know. I'm going to put a spell target on for spellcasting for something like 12, which is a while away, but because otherwise I'll probably forget. And we don't need that much. Let's just train this. Could be persuaded perhaps to train some evocations for the paralysis one, and at some point an ice blast one that we picked up and I didn't notice. And I put the trident on B. I'm going to just ditch the hunting sling of velocity. Even from range, I think we don't want to unwield the hand axe to fire with a sling, because then we're losing the magic points from the axe. We're going to drop the stones. And the poison needles. We haven't even found a blowgun. We're just amassing those for no good reason. And I am tempted to find out what this amulet is. I'm going to ID it. It's an uncursed amulet of faith. That's part of why I ID'd it, because I didn't want to accidentally put on faith. There's some argument to be made for putting this on. So, for one, Sif Muna is a gift-giving god. She gives you book gifts. And Amulet of Faith is pretty good on any gift-giving god, because it makes them gift you their things more frequently. But the other argument is that Sif Muna's piety is really slow. So having 30% extra piety is pretty nice and might actually let us spam channeling more. I'm going to carry it. And maybe decide later, because for right now, this Amulet of Magic regen is fantastic. Also, we're not that dependent on Sif. So, let's say I'm thinking of several tournaments ago, I was playing a Mummy Wizard of Sif Muna, and I'd finished Lair, and Sif Muna had not given me a single book with a single offensive spell in it. So I was still trying to kill stuff after Lair with Magic Dart and Mephitic Cloud and Conjure Flame, and it was just the worst experience of my life. And I was playing a mummy. It was horrible. I think the character ended up dying more out of frustration than anything. But the point I'm trying to make is our current character doesn't really care too much right now about Sif gifts. We can ride the Summon Ice Beast. Like, we can literally ride the Ice Beast for a long time. So I'm not in a huge hurry to find more books. So yeah, I don't think we need to rush to put the Amulet of Faith on. Go Ice Beast. I'll sit back here and watch you. You're very valiant. Let's read the scroll. Let's read both scrolls. One's vulnerability, one's summoning. Okay, good. Reached level 10. So I think the take home is that I'm probably not going to put the faith on, at least not right now. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't want to put the faith on. I don't want to say we won't put it on in the future, but I think at this point in the game, when magic regen is still really strong, and we're not in a huge hurry for Sif gifts, that I don't mind it. And we don't have any invocations, so even if we got the piety to use channeling, we wouldn't really be able to use it effectively anyway. Okay, crocodiles are slow-blooded, so freeze will own them. And D8 is done. I thought maybe there might be Lair because we're seeing crocodiles and the like, but no. Now that I think about it, much like regen, there's not really any reason for not casting Ozakubo's armor every time you go down a step. So I'll try to remember. Okay, I don't really want to get drained by whites. We're going to sit back. Do you see that coordination there? This ice beast moved along the hallway so the other one could help. They're highly trained. That is just an enchanted dagger. Okay, not exciting. The slaves tell us that this is Pikel. I'm going to start backing up. Alright, go ice beast. The ice beast is sort of fighting and getting in the way. Now that we can see the stair, so we can potentially hop back to it, I don't mind just camping here. And we'll do our Sif thing. So we'll just sit here. I'm just hitting the period key to wait. When an ice beast dies or times out, we'll make a new one. And we can just do that forever. Alright, that's Pikel. He has a whip of electrocution. Alright. So we don't want to be hit by that. That's a really good weapon to use. Again, if we didn't have such an awesome artifact one that was giving us extra magic points, that would be really good to use to fight with. Okay, fine. Conjurations goes to 5. Throw icicles at 10% to fail. I think we may as well, we'll go a bit more. One of the things about Sif and her book giving is that she's eventually going to give you every single spell in the game. So if we wanted, we could set our sights on being a glaciate frog. I don't know, it's not good, but we potentially could. But the point is that we're definitely going to get conjuration spells in the future. And a bunch of them are really, really good. So any conjurations we train now are not going to be wasted in the future. Guaranteed. I don't need to focus it though. Let's take conjurations to 7. We'll just drop throw icicle a little bit more. So if we want to use it, we're not going to fail it. I mean, you can't put all your eggs in the ice beast basket. Sometimes enemies will get on top of you, at which point you hop, I guess. Anyway, you get my point. Body racked with pain. Not so good. Here's Prince Ribbit. Here's our frog brother. Maybe a cousin. He is cold-blooded though, so he's going to get pretty owned by cold attacks. And what? See, he knows how to hop. He hopped around the ice beast to get on top of us. I'm going to freeze him a bit. There we go, we can just kill him. Who needed ice beasts? Okay, here's Psyche. And she happens to have a dagger of distortion. I do not want to get hit by her. Fun fact, she's fast. So even if you're a normal speed character, she can run you down. But she also has haste. So she can especially run you down. So, well, what's our trick for not getting hit or not having to hit stuff? Make ice beasts. We don't have the energy to cast a spell. Oh, because we're starving. Okay, I was like, wait, that's not the right message for whatever that thing's called. Oh, she banished our ice friend. So she's really close to us right now. And because she is fast and she's hasted, if I cast another ice beast now, it's very likely she'll step to us and hit us with the dagger. And even one shot from it could potentially abyss us and potentially kill us. So we're going to use our hop now to remake space and our ice beast kill. Okay. Well, the plan was just make more ice beasts. It's the same plan we do every night. Try to take over the world. I was going to try to make some ice beast joke, but I had nothing. Alright, so we're using a +0 leather armor. We may as well test glowing robes. It's +2 fire resistance, so this is just better. Not only do we get a resistance out of it, but it's giving us more AC anyway. We're 10-17 now, and we were 9-17. So this is strictly better. Not even close. And our spell failures are dropped too. Throw icicles down to 8%. Alright, well here's a troll. We might potentially get troll of the armor. No. Okay, so we didn't even have to think about it. And this guy has a Trident of Venom. Okay, so the game is really trying to give us some difficult decisions here. I note that he unfortunately doesn't have a buckler or even a shield. The Norse Sergeants very often have shields. +3 Trident of Venom, well that easily replaces +3 Trident. But this is a really, really good weapon. A Trident of Venom, just stand behind an ice base and poke stuff with. Let's not fight the troll. He can do 50 damage per attack. So we're only going to fight him from behind allies. That's an enemy ice beast. I was confused for a second because it didn't have the green ally indicator around it. Our fighting still goes to 7. And a Wand of Acid. Alright, so we've got some really powerful wands here now, with Acid, Ice Blast, and Paralysis. +1 Evocation Straining on a frog. Wouldn't be a horrible idea. I don't think we need to. Let's do Ozakubo's armor here. And I'm just going to fight this. We've got 17 AC and 18 evasion. We don't care. We don't take any damage even from the Orc Warrior. This character feels very strong with Ozakubo's armor out. We just need a shield really. We'll be unstoppable. This guy has a battle axe of chopping though. I'm not sure I want to fight him so much. Yeah. Alright. So I want to step away so that we can now blink up to get away. Couldn't really blink when we were standing here because we couldn't see around the corner. But now we're going to hop. We still can't hop very far and we got a crappy roll. Alright, let's stand behind the ice base. Let's pull out our Trident of Venom. It doesn't matter, our ice base have already won. Okay, but the plan was to help out by reaching over and poisoning him. Which I guess we can do now. Oh, that's an Orc Warrior with a glaive. Okay, I don't really want to fight him either. Our hop has cooled down, so let's jump back. And we'll make some ice... Well, no. Let's make some ice base. So we'll step back first. I was considering maybe I should put Ozakubo's armor on first. But the thing is, even when we're standing behind the ice base, he can hit us back. And as an Orc Warrior with a glaive, I don't really want that. So I'd rather just stand completely away. Okay, cool. That went better than I thought it would. Apparently ice beasts are really overpowered, who knew? Dodging to 6. Alright, cool. On we go. A pitted leather armor. I am tempted, but without ID, we don't know that this isn't contaminated, it's got drain on it. So we're going to wait until we find an ID scroll to find out what that is. We're going to be optimal streak players. Well, I don't like this because this looks like a scary vault. It's pretty clearly been made. It looks symmetrical. It's made out of stone walls. So who knows what insanity is inside here. But I definitely don't want to be running at a centaur from across open ground. I don't mind so much if we've got a bunch of ice beasts between us. But I didn't like it at first. What's down here? There's sort of a random door on the side. Alright, great. So nothing. I guess if this goes really bad, we've got 3 scrolls of teleportation. Well, okay. The plan, because I'm scared, is to just have 3 ice beasts out preemptively. In case we walk around the corner and there's a stone giant or something, or there's a wizard or something with hexes, we can just immediately step or hop behind our ice beast. Yeah, here's a troll. That's probably... Is that the troll we saw before? Not sure. We're kind of far away from where that was. Okay, well there's a hornet. Very scary enemy. Particularly if you don't have our poison, because they can not only just poison you really heavily, but they have a really good chance of paralyzing you. Fortunately, we've got two things going for us. Well, four things I guess. Three of them are ice beasts that we can stand behind. The other one is that we do already have our poison. So we're probably not going to die to it. We may as well test out this scarf. I mean, I don't think I'm going to want to change poison resistance at this point in the game, but it's a scarf of resistance, so it gives you RF and RC. We are going to carry that with us because that could potentially be very useful later on. But at this point in the game, pre-lair and even in lair and even in your first two rune branches, having our poison is usually much more useful than having RF and RC. We do want it with us though. I mean, say we came across an ice cave, we could then put the scarf on and get cold resistance. No, it was another troll. Alright, well there's the troll of the scales, or troll of the armor. All the dragon armors used to be called armors and they're now scales. So in my head, whenever I see the word armor, I switch it to scales. So it's a troll leather scales. We're going to try on the scales of a troll. I can't see this being better. So 10 AC, 18 evasion. This is a heavier armor. What's its encumbrance? It's 4, so we can wear the troll leather armor and we can still use Ozokubos. 10, 18, 10, 17. So we're only losing 1 evasion and we're swapping the point of RF to have extra HP regen. So at the moment it's 0.63 per turn. With the fire it's 0.23 per turn. So it's 0.4 HP per turn, which I guess isn't much. It's kind of hard to tell without knowing what the pitted leather armor is. But let's carry the troll leather armor with us. It's possible at some point we'll want to switch to that one. I do quite like troll leather armor at this point in the game. I tend to like heavier armors on my casters actually, just as a general rule. So most of the time I'd probably rather have a troll leather armor on than a robe. Not a big fan of the robe, really fragile blaster caster guy. Anyway, but I think this is better. It's 10-18 versus 10-17, so that alone tells us that the stats are better on the other one. We do have our poison, but I still don't want to fight a whole bunch of bees at once. So we're going to pick a new step, and I'm going to remember we're going to cast the Ozokubo's armor first, because then if we end up in combat immediately, we've already lost it. Okay. Alright. So it turns out you lose Ozokubo's armor as you go downstairs. I think that didn't used to be a thing. Maybe it did. I'm pretty sure for a bit there you could use Ozokubo's armor and you wouldn't break it by going up and downstairs. Well, it turns out that doesn't work anymore, so rip. We should be testing out these unknown magical staves. It's an uncursed staff of fire. Well, we happen to have RF on our robe anyway, so I'm going to drop that. But if we didn't, I'd probably carry that around as an easy way to get RF just by wielding that. I was going to say if we met Harold maybe, but we already met him and he doesn't have Bolt of Fire anymore. I don't know. Maybe we meet Azrael. That's a better example. But yeah, we already have RF, so that's fine. Let's ID the Peter leather armor. Oh boy. It's a +3 leather armor. It's got our poison on it. Strength +8 and int +3. Well, I'm going to have to say that this is certainly better than a +2 robe of fire resistance. Strength +8 is pretty bonkers. Not that it matters much, because the main thing that you want strength for on a caster is for wearing heavier armors. Its other main effect is melee damage, but we don't care too much about that. But even just having our poison and the int +3 means that we could potentially switch to the Scarf of Resistance too. Alright, well this is better anyway, for sure. The drain doesn't matter unless you try to take it off. So we go from 1018 to 1218. It's red, it looks pretty baller. Let's drop the fire resistance. So, point is, now that we have a source of our poison, do we want to just swap to AC for having RF and RC at all times? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say let's have the AC until at least maybe when we go in Lair, when we'll start worrying about the Drakes. Having RC is really good against them. I'm going to pick up the Staff of Fire, so if we need to, we can just wield it and we'll get a point of RF. Alright, so this is a pretty sweet leather armor. I'm just going to drop this falchion. We're never going to need it. Oh, and also, wait, have we found Lair? No, we still haven't. Okay. So I wasn't going to need to talk about why we haven't gone in yet, because we haven't found it. But if we had, I usually prefer to do a bit more of the dungeon if I find an early Lair. Usually at least D10, but I also normally try D11 and not bail unless I find something really scary. I'm going to use TA to target my dudes at the Orc Warrior. I should put Ozakuba's armor on. Alright, good. With Ozakuba's armor we have 19 AC. It's pretty strong. Still no shield in the game. But on the subject of doing more dungeon, in some ways it's more scary to do more dungeon on a slow moving species. Oh boy, we've got more artifact stuff. And that's because if you do meet, say, the ugly thing or something really terrifying, you can't run away from it like most other species could. So there's some risk in it. But I don't know, I still usually prefer to do it. We're going to wait for Identify again before we find out what the robe is. Here we go. +2 robe of strength +7. Alright. As we talked about, strength +7 doesn't mean much. So we'll stick with the leather armor. Random effects wand we don't need. Let's make more ice base. Let's put on Ozakuba's armor. We've got 19 AC and 18 evasion. And you know what? We're a 23 strength character with a +7 hand axe. I reckon we can just, for science, I reckon we can just tab these yaks. Okay, it hurts. Let's not get too cocky. Let's just fight one at a time and we'll use freeze. Okay. Maybe when we have a shield, then we'll be a tabber. I don't know. I mean, this is a caster character, but you don't want to tab too much because then you might become a warrior mage. And I am joking, just for the record. For all you people who have really strict character types, I'm a mage. I'm an ice elementalist. I must not tab. It is illegal to tab on your casters. Newsflash, it's not. Alright, what have we found? We found the Enchanter starting book, the Book of Maledictions. Some of these are really good. Confused is really good. We have a +1 Hexes aptitude, but I don't think we need it. I don't think we need to confuse stuff. I think we can just overwhelm them with Ice Beast. So I'm fine with not doing that yet. When might I want Hexes? It would probably be... It would move up my desirability list if we get Spider's Nest rather than the Snake Pit. Nagas have pretty high magic resistance, so they're not so good to try to hex, but the spiders have pretty low, so they are good. Let's put our Ozakubo's armor on again. Let's keep making more. I only want to fight one at a time, even if I am going to lose my Ozakubo's armor. Okay, so we just reached 3 pips of BaIE. We can now call upon Sif Muna for magical energy. So we have Channel Magic. I was getting the name right as an ability. See, at the moment, 65% chance to fail. Basically, it's useless without any invocations. Invocations you want not just to lower that failure rate, but the higher your invo is, the more... I think basically the longer the duration is, so the more magic points you'll get back. But the way that this ability works dramatically increases the user's regeneration of magical power for a duration that increases with the invocation skill. Yep, so that's right, it's just duration. But it ups your magic regen by a lot. So the way you tend to use it is when you've completely depleted your magic, you go, hey, I need to channel magic. Doesn't cost any magic points, which is good to know. So you can be completely out. You hit channel magic, and most of the time, if you got some invo, it will just completely fill your magic bar again. So it's like doubling your magic points in a way. And the reason you might want that, because you might be thinking, but hey, I have divine energy. I can just keep casting spells forever. That's true, but with divine energy, you're going to have to stop for 3 to 5 turns every time you cast a spell. Whereas you might have a whole new pack that's run at you and you know you're going to need to cast a bunch of spells to live. So full bar is better. There you go. Which maybe we should train some invo. What are we taking Conjurations to? 7. So that's going to be off soon. And then maybe we can think about invo. But we're also not training any magic skills, so our piety's not going to go up real fast. I don't know, these decisions are hard. Let's try this new ring. Protection from cold. Alright, good. So that gives us RC, and we can now wield the Staff of Fire for RF. So in that case, I think it's definitely correct to just keep using our cloak rather than scarf. Found a new magic book. Book of the Sky. This happens to have everyone's favorite spell in it, Summon Lightning Spire. If you want to win, just learn this spell because it's the best spell in the game. I think probably in this run I'll go without the Spire. Let's unhide a few things. So deflect missiles. I'm going to silence like that. Confuse. I'm going to unhide the Spire because I don't know, we might do it at some point. But a lot of these spells, and we could even cast it for free due to our summoning training. What's our air aptitude? It's +1, so it's still pretty good. I'm thinking about deflecting missiles, not summon lightning spire. Because, yeah, I don't know. If I just use summon lightning spire every game, all game every game, I think it would be a bit boring. So I'm gonna try to play without it, I think, unless I'm playing some totally stunted character that needs it to live. Like when I was playing Troll Chaos Knight. But this guy's fine, I think. Anyway. But there are a bunch of spells in there potentially for the future. I think especially, I mean, deflect missiles. We're not wearing heavy armor. We've got a +1 charms and a +1 air magic aptitude. They're both really good. And with the way that deflect missiles works, where you can cast it out of combat, so you don't care too much about the failure rate. It probably wouldn't take us much to get. I'm tempted to just train a little bit more charms and air right now and just get deflect missiles up. Is that a thing? I feel like it's a thing. I'm going to learn deflecting missiles right now. And once our conjuration gets to 7, we're going to see if we can kind of cast it, even with just a little bit of training. We still haven't found Lair, so we have no choice but to do D11. I see bushes and mushrooms. That's almost certainly going to be our Lair entrance vault over here. Because some are nasty, I'm going to preemptively make friends. Alright. Alright, we don't have our C invis ring on yet, so he can't be invis, otherwise we wouldn't see him. But if he does go invis, we do have a ring of C invis for it. I don't know why he hasn't gone invis. No, well he just died to ice beast. Fair enough. Porcupines give you retaliation damage when you melee them, but if you freeze them in melee range, they do not. Because I imagine freeze, and even the picture is confirming this. Like you put your hand out and you touch them, and your hand is really cold, so it hurts them, I guess. it really hurts because your hand is cold. I don't know. Anyway, so the way I'm imagining it, I don't see why you shouldn't get retaliation damage because you're putting your hand out and you're touching the porcupine. But that's not the way these things work. We have nothing else to identify. It's fine. We may as well try these boots. Our current boots are blue. They look pretty good though. Yeah, I like the blue boots. So these new boots would be a style downgrade. New stuff. Uncursed Staff of Air. So this ups the power of air spells. So when and if we do cast deflected missiles, even with low skill, a Staff of Air will make it more powerful, which means it's less likely to break when it gets hit by projectiles. Alright, there we go. Conjurations to 7. Let's do it. Let's focus charms and air magic. I'm going to take them both to 5. Oops. And we'll see how castable deflected missiles is at that point. Two-headed ogre. Okay, Rotro. You see it's marked as red, even though we're on D11. I mean, we could have seen one on D4, but fortunately we didn't. Here's our first one on D11. I'm going to first spam a couple of ice beasts, and we were lucky enough that the ice beasts got between us. If they didn't, I would have then hopped upwards first, so that he wouldn't get any opportunities to even potentially hit us. And he goes down under the endless wave of beasts. Can you imagine what it was like back in ye old times when your summons could fight off screen? You didn't even have to see them. Can you imagine how... I think this sort of summoning where you just watch your summons kill stuff without helping is kind of degenerate. But can you imagine when they weren't even on the screen? You just walk around spamming stuff. Oh man. We've got a potion. It's a potion of magic. That's nice. It's kind of like a poor man's channel magic, but we don't need invo for it. And here's a portal to a treasure trove. 2 scrolls of acquirement. Okay, well we have none. Well, if we can find 2 scrolls, I will very strongly consider going in here, because you can think of it like this. Treasure troves are filled with acquirement level items. So you're trading 2 acquirements of the item type you would like for a whole lot more but of random types. I don't know. I like gambling, let's do it. Well, let's not, we've got to find acquirement first. But if we find one, I'll hold on to it, at least until I get tired of waiting. And then, well, we'll see. Anyway, I think it's probably worth it. Or maybe. We have just found the Young Poisoner's Handbook. This gives us Poisonous Vapors, Mephitic Cloud, Orbs, and Venom Bolt. Well, I happen to be a very big fan of a couple of these spells. Mephitic Cloud is always very useful because you can confuse things in an AoE, but I really like Poisonous Vapors, and I really like Orgreb's Toxic Radiance. I think, at least as far as Orgreb's goes, I think I would prefer to wait and see if we get Spider's Nest over Snake Pit again, because Snake Pit, everything has our poison. Spider's Nest, everything is vulnerable to poison, so Orgreb's just wrecks face. Although, what's actually really good is, let's make a friend. Let's examine the Ice Beast. Hey look, he's resistant to poison. Turns out you can make Ice Beasts and then poison the screen and the Ice Beasts don't care. Fantastic. So that's really good. But we probably should learn Poisonous Vapors because it's smite targeted. So all these times where we've been sitting behind an army of Ice Beasts, we could be helping if we just learn Poisonous Vapors. I'm going to do it. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, it goes to B. I'm going to put it on X instead of Throw Frost. Because I think Throw Frost has basically lived out its usefulness. If I really want to throw Frost at something, I'd almost certainly be better at throwing an Icicle because it's just going to do more damage. We've got an idea for this Fine Ring Mail. +0, RLEC int -3, stealth plus. No thank you. That's very underwhelming. And we're going to go get an Amnesia Scroll. That's not how you spell amnesia. I was spelling amen. We're going to go... Oh, it's 2 tiles in front of us. Oh god, I'm blind. That's really embarrassing. I was searching for it and it was right there. We're going to forget Throw Frost. I mean, Sif does eventually give you the ability to amnesia spells, but it costs you piety, so you may as well use the amnesia scrolls first. Alright, I should have X'd this out because Auto Explorer is going to come and open the door, but this particular lair entrance always has an Orc Warrior guarding it. So the better way to do it would have been to summon Ice Beast first, and then I can help now. Look, I'm helping. I made a Poisonous Vapors around him. Nice. I don't really care too much about training poison magic for it because we're training air, and that's air is half the battle. Well, it's half the spell schools anyway. Alright, D11 done. So we could go right into Lair right now, or we could do more dungeon. I don't think there's much point doing more dungeon, where we've found our poison, so we're fine in that regard. We've got perfectly good spells to do Lair with. I mean, we've got Summon Ice Beast, that alone is good. But then we've got Poisonous Vapors, Throw Icicle, where we're perfectly fine in Lair. Yeah, that's it. So I think we're all good. We can get RF and RC. So I don't think there's any point risking doing more dungeon. On D12 you can find all sorts of nasty things. You can get dangerous uniques that we could come across. We could come across ugly things. We could come across hydras there. It's like being in Lair. And so on. So let's go do Lair. We hear Distant Snort. We do have magic mapping, but I don't know. You saw my last experience in there. The Minotaur is so dangerous now. He's so dangerous. And he can have branded javelins as well, so spamming him with summons isn't guaranteed to help you because if he has javelins of penetration, you just die anyway. So I don't know. Let's try to... We've got to be careful of Komodo dragons. They bite for up to 34 damage. They're cold-blooded, so we can freeze him. Alright, there we go, he gets slowed. Alright, But you need to be careful of those guys because 34 damage is a lot. Just in case you couldn't tell. Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about doing a lab. I don't know. Maybe if we find the lab, I'll go in. But I don't want a magic map for it. I also think we need to be careful here. Because this is a lot of enemies. And especially all these wolves, and once the Komodo dragon gets on top of us, we can be taking a lot of damage really quickly. I'm going to hop right now back towards the exit. We missed, but I can get on top of it, and then we'll keep going ice base. Because the thing to remember is, if we go up right now, these monsters will all be standing there waiting for us to come back down. So it would be good to kill at least some of them. Or how about we stair dance up the two wolves. Let's make an Ozakubo's armor to take our AC up to 19, which is pretty amazing. And we'll keep going with ice base. Alright, so it's just the Komodo dragon in there. And I'm just going to say, screw the Labyrinth. I don't care about it. The Minotaur is too dangerous. The loot in there has been nerfed. And yeah, I'm not going to do it. Fight me. Let's go back up. And let's hop out of this room. Boing. Alright. Okay, chums to 4. How are we looking? 98% on deflector missiles. Not looking good. I don't know. Air magic is still only at 2.3, so we'll see. But I think we'll leave this one here because we're not going to rush for the lab, so I can finish the episode. If you join me in the next one, we'll ignore lab and we'll do our lair. See you then.